Today you will analyze the passage from Roberto Ignacio Torres Bakes and the passage from The Dreamer. As you read these texts, you will gather information and answer questions about the theme and development of the characters in each passage, so you can write an essay. Read the passage Roberto Ignacio Torres Bakes, then answer the questions. Papi, I say, what did you want to be when you grew up? A papi. No, I mean, what did you want to do? Do? What do you mean, do? For life. Oh, I did what my daddy showed me to do, construction and framing. But what was your dream? Poppy's big hand comes out of his sleeve and plucks the cookies from the parchment. He doesn't even need the spatula because they pop right off. He takes a bite, smiles, and says, I dreamed to be a Poppy. But I, Carmelita Consuela Torres, don't believe him. I think he had a dream that he let go. And as I watch his face still crusty with too much sleep, starting to wake up with each bite of his own cookie, I get an idea, a crazy idea. Later that day, when Poppy's napping, I climb on top of a chair and open the cabinet above the fridge. There's a huge pile of paper, scraps mostly, and all in a big mess. The papers are crinkly like something spilled on them a long time ago. And dried. The heap of papers is Poppy's cookbook, his recipes to make a dream. Is it his dream or mine come true? I put them all in a folder alphabetically by name just in case. I made a deal with myself. If Poppy gets a job by Saturday, I won't try my crazy idea. But I'll put it back up there with the scraps of paper and never take it out again. But if he doesn't, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday go by, but no job for Poppy. Friday morning, he sleeps in. I leave early to go to school and watch the clock the whole day. At 3:20, I race home. Poppy left me a note to say he has an interview with Jim Montana, a big-time builder who might need a framer. I make out a shopping list. It's long, and it's going to be expensive. The food envelope is down to $3, but the rent one's thick with $100 bills. 2 is all I need. But what if my plan doesn't work? Monday is the first of the month. How will we pay? I say a prayer for Jim Montana to give Poppy a job, and I grab the $200. At Vaughn's, I'm a smart shopper. I look at the price per pound, the instant coupons, the specials if you're a Vaughn's Club member. I already did the math on the ingredients, multiplying everything by 10. 10 batches of meringues, 10 fruit tarts, 10 dozen red velvet cupcakes. My magic number is 10. The lady says my total is $243.75. My brown skin turns bleach white. Is that after the Vaughn's Club discount? I asked. Oh, she says, I forgot to swipe your card. She does, and the total does gymnastics on the screen from $243.75 to $202.75. I'm left with a lucky quarter. I walk into the kitchen with my arms full of shopping bags. Poppy's holding the rent envelope in his hand. What did you do, Lita? I talk fast the way my mama used to when she and Poppy disagreed. The words pop off my tongue like kettle corn. I tell Poppy how Gilberto's stand will be empty tomorrow and how they charge $2.75 for 1 square of chocolate streusel, and how the croissants always sell out, but that Poppy's baking The thing about him that Mama fell in love with, and that the whole world would too if they could taste it, is better. And isn't that his dream, to be a baker? He looks at me icy cold. Did you keep the receipts, Carmelita? Yes, Papi. Go back to the store and return everything. One more word comes out of my mouth, this time real slow. No. I drop the bags, take out the folder of his recipes, and lay them on the kitchen table. We'll start with the dough for your fruit tarts, I say. And while it's chilling, we'll make 10 batches of meringue cookies. Then we'll do your flourless chocolate cakes. We'll sell them for $5 a slice. I know we can. We'll bake all night, Papi, and all day tomorrow. Give me the receipts, Carmelita. Did Joe Montana have work for you? No, he says, not this month. We look at each other. Papi's eyes are so tired. And mine, they start to fill up with tears. He once told me that I have my mama's eyes, and she once told me that he could never stand to see her cry. He looks at the bags of groceries on the floor. Did you buy vanilla? He asks. On Sunday morning, Papi wakes me before dawn. It takes us 25 minutes there and 20 back. I make 3 trips while Papi sets up. Ted, the organic guy, loans us a table, and we make one stop at Smart and Final to buy paper plates, napkins, and bags. The market opens at 8 o'clock. At 8:30, I get there with the last batch. Only I panic because I can't find Papi. There's a wall of people in front of Gilberto's produce stand, which isn't selling produce today. As I make my way forward, I see people standing off to the side with their eyes closed and their tongues licking their lips. And that's when I know something good is going on. I push my bicycle through, and when everyone sees what I am bringing, they make way like I'm Moses. And soon I find Papi serving slices of his fruit tart with one hand and taking in money with the other. Lita, he says, I could use a little help back here. I crawl under the table, pop up on the other side, and get to work. That night, Papi and me, stay up late telling stories about the people who lined up all day for his baking. He tells me that when he was a boy, he had dreamed of what he wanted to be when he grew up. He doesn't have to say what it is. Later, after Papi goes to bed, I finish cleaning up the kitchen. I put away the forks, knives, and spoons, and I peek under the tray. The rent envelope is full again. There's money for food and clothes, and the last envelope, the one that says just for fun, holds a crisp $100 bill. Number 1, Part A. What does the phrase "a wall of people" suggest in paragraph 37? A. A new structure is blocking the way into the market. B. Individuals are linking their arms together. C. A large crowd is gathering in the market. D. Individuals are pushing to get closer. Part B. Underline 2 phrases in paragraph 37 that best support the answer to Part A. The market opens at 8 o'clock. At 8:30, I get there with the last batch. Only I panic because I can't find Papi. There's a wall of people in front of Gilberto's produce stand, which isn't selling produce today. As I make my way forward, I see people standing off to the side with their eyes closed and their tongues licking their lips. And that's when I know something good is going on. I push my bicycle through and when everyone sees what I am bringing, they make way like Moses. And soon I find Papi serving slices of his fruit tart with one hand and taking money with the other. Select the boxed phrase that answers the question to Part A. Choose 2. Number 2, Part A. Which of these best describes Poppy's response to his daughter's questions in paragraphs 1 through 8? Reread paragraphs 1 through 8. A. Anxious because he does not know how his daughter will react. B. Indirect because he is not ready to have this discussion. C. Honest because he knows he needs to find a job. D. Satisfied because he is doing what his daddy did. Part B. Which sentence from the passage Roberto Ignacio Torres bakes best supports the answer to Part A? A. Oh, I did what my daddy showed me to do. Construction, framing, paragraph 6. B. Poppy's big hand comes out of his sleeve and plucks the cookies from the parchment, paragraph 8. He takes a bite, smiles, and says, I dreamed to be a Poppy, paragraph 8. D. Poppy left me a note to say he has an interview with Jim Montana, a big-time builder who might need a framer, paragraph 14. Number 3, Part A. Read the sentence from paragraph 24 of the passage. I tell Poppy how Gilberto's stand will be empty tomorrow and how they charge $2.75 for 1 square of chocolate streusel, and how the croissants always sell out, but that Poppy's baking, the thing about him that Mama fell in love with and that the whole world would too if they could taste it, is better. And isn't that his dream? What does the sentence structure reveal about Lita? A. She is upset and speaking loudly. B. She is nervous and speaking quickly. C. She is worried that she cannot get her words out. D. She is so disturbed that she is not making any sense. Part B. Select one sentence from the passage that best supports the answer to Part A. Underline the boxed phrase or sentence. The lady says my total is $243.75. My brown skin turns bleach white. Is that after the Vons Club discount, I ask? Oh, she says, I forgot to swipe your card. She does, and the total does gymnastics on the screen from $243.75 to $202.75. I'm left with a lucky quarter. I walk into the kitchen with my arms full of shopping bags. Poppy's holding the rent envelope in his hand. What did you do, Lita? I talk fast the way my mama used to when she and Poppy disagree. The words pop off my tongue like kettle corn. I tell Poppy how Gilberto's stand will be empty tomorrow and how they charge $2.75 for 1 square of chocolate streusel and how the croissants always sell out, but that Poppy's baking the one thing about him that Mama fell in love with and that the whole world would too if they could taste it is better. And isn't that his dream? To be a baker? He looks at me icy cold. Did you keep the receipt, Carmelita? Yes, Poppy. Go back to the store, return everything. One more word comes out of my mouth, this time real slow. No. Passage number 2. Read the passage from The Dreamer, then answer the questions. From The Dreamer by Pam Munoz Ryan. Pablo Neruda was a Chilean poet and Nobel Prize winner who died in 1973. In this excerpt from his novel, based on the true events of his life, we see the poet transform himself from a lonely boy named Neftali. Neftali sat in his room with the light of a flickering candle casting shadows on his walls and finished a new poem for Claridad. Now he had a dilemma. This poem was to appear next week, not only in the university magazine, but simultaneously in a Santiago newspaper. Father knew many people in Santiago, and Naphtali could not take the chance that father would discover he was disobeying him. Besides that, he could not stop thinking about what father had said, that he was an embarrassment to the family. Naphtali sighed and put down his pen. He picked up the local Temecco newspaper and read an article about the works of a Czech writer. To Naphtali, the writer's name seemed unusual and exotic, and if only he had such a name. He wrote the last name on a small piece of paper. Then he read it out loud again and again. He pulled a book of Italian poetry from his shelf and began to thumb through it, stopping at a page to read about a character named Paolo. Paolo, he said, but it didn't sound quite right. He translated the name into Spanish and nodded, writing it on paper next to the other name. The name was not only a perfect solution, it was a perfect fit. He picked up his pen again. At the end of his poem, instead of signing Naphtali Reyes, he wrote Pablo Neruda. He could use this name to save father the humiliation of having a son who was a poet. Maybe he could use the name only until he became lost enough to find himself. Maybe he would even keep the name. It might take him places. After all, it had a rhythm like a locomotive chugging uphill. The following morning, he slowly packed his belongings into a metal trunk. Clothes, books, pens, and of course, something for which he would never be too old, his sheep.
Miss Jackson, please contact the main office. Mr. Alvarez.
He carefully sorted his collections into storage boxes, taking one box with him and taking the other to Larita's room for safekeeping. He stood in the doorway and handed her the box. "Do not let it go up in flames." She smiled. "I will guard it with my life." That night and throughout the next day, he rode third class in a car full of peasants. It smelled of damp wool from rain-soaked ponchos and wet feathers from unhappy chickens that had been tucked into baskets. But none of that bothered him because he was headed to a place of culture, a place with more like-minded people where being a student and a poet would not be discouraged. When the train stopped, he gathered his trunk, put on a black, wide-brimmed hat, and stepped onto the streets of Santiago to make his way into the world. There, in the obscurity of the big city, his writing was as persistent as the weather. Poetry had laid down its path, and he had no choice but to follow. He wrote no matter what his circumstances. When he lived in rooms that were no larger than a cell, when he had barely enough money to eat, when he had no friends and pulled deep within himself, when his heart was broken, or when his broke another's, when he did not agree with the politics at the university or the politics of his country, he wrote. Question 4, Part A. What is the meaning of humiliation as it is used in paragraph 6? A, artistry. B, disgrace. C, modesty. D, reputation. Part B. Which paragraph contains a word that has a similar meaning to humiliation? A, paragraph 2. B, paragraph 3. C, paragraph 8. D, paragraph 11. Number 5, Part A. What is the meaning of persistent as it is used in paragraph 13? A, constant. B, remote. C, direct. D, short. Part B. Which words from paragraph 13 support the answer to Part A? A, poetry has laid down its path. B, he wrote no matter what his circumstances. C, he lived in rooms that were no larger than a cell. D, pulled deep within himself. Number 6, Part A. Why does Naphtali publish a new poem using a name he invented? A. He feels as if his own name is boring. B. He has a problem that embarrasses him. C. He believes that he needs to hide his identity. D. He has struggled to understand who he is as a writer. Part B. Which of these sentences from the passage best supports the answer to Part A? A. To Naphtali, the writer's name seemed unusual and exotic. B. He pulled a book of Italian poetry from his shelf and began to thumb through it, stopping at a page to read about a character named Paolo. Paragraph 4. C. He translated the name into Spanish and nodded, writing it on the paper next to the other name. Paragraph 5. D. He would use this name to save father the humiliation of having a son who was a poet. Paragraph 6. 7. Based on the passage from Roberto Ignacio Torres Bakes and the passage from The Dreamer, write an essay that explains how Poppy and Naphtali change. How do they change throughout the story? Read the poem If, then answer the questions. If by Rudyard Kipling. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies. Or being hated, don't give way to hating. And yet, don't look too good nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken and stoop and build them up with worn out tools. If you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginnings, and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiven minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son. Question 8, Part A. What does the phrase force your heart and nerve in line 21 most likely mean? A. Using power to make others do what you wish. B. Asking others for help in times of trouble. C. Pushing yourself to the limits. D. Caring for people in need. Part B. Which text evidence in stanza 3 supports the answer to Part A? A. Make one heap of all your winnings. B. Risk it on one turn of pitch and toss. C. Never breathe a word about your loss. D. Hold on when there is nothing in you. Question 9, Part A. What is the theme of the poem If? A. Having many friends is key to becoming a powerful leader. B. Self-awareness and control are necessary for success. C. Explaining one's problems to others leads to growth. D. Understanding the motivations of one's enemies is needed for success. Part B, what advice does a speaker give that supports the theme selected in Part A? A, trust yourself but try to understand why others doubt you. B, do whatever it is necessary to be liked by others. C, help others because you might need their help one day. D, confront enemies who are trying to hurt you. Number 10, read the paragraph below. Which sentence belongs in a summary of the poem? Underline 4 sentences that make up a summary of the poem. Summary of if. Attaining happiness and success as an adult is not easy. One way to get ahead is to use tricks against your enemies and lie when necessary. You must be confident in who you are and not be swayed by the behavior of others. You must show others that you are strong, powerful, and better than everyone else. You must be patient, honest, and aware of your actions. By doing these things, you can achieve success. Question 11, Part A. What does the poem's point of view tell about the speaker? A, the speaker wants the impressionable youth to grow up quickly. B, the speaker is a wise mentor giving advice to a young, inexperienced person. C, the speaker has unrealistic expectations for people. D, the speaker is sharing information that has been documented in other places. Part B, which lines from the poem best support the answer to Part A? If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings, nor lose the common touch. B, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much. C, if you can fill the unforgiven minutes with seconds worth of distance run. D, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son.